Hopefully, he thinks that's funny. Hopefully. Hello.
Hello. Well, we've been blocked from sharing on Facebook again for another 6 days.
Oh.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Did you call Daisy a bitch again and they picked on?
Yeah. Well, she is being a pain in the tuchus tonight. She's kind enough to...
I saw your response to Thomas that DJ Waterboy could take up the time. I was like, oh boy.
Well, he's a super good guy. He is always on, though. It's crazy how much time he's got to be on. All the video is up live. I'm just counting down on the radio side, and we'll hit play here in about 2 minutes.
Okay.
But yeah, it's. I thought it was funny. I guess he didn't think it was as funny as I thought it was. Is it a probably not a discussion we should be having live because we are actually live at the moment, but is it a pain for you to take the videos off of YouTube and get them into the auto DJ? How hard is that? Because I don't record any of these because I don't have memory for it. Well, I guess I probably do have the memory for it. I have a terabyte of memory. I probably do, but how are we doing that? Or is that something you'd rather discuss?
No.
Another time.
We can do it live. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. I have to rip the audio from YouTube. There is a converter for that. I think I could do that through Audacity.
Okay.
So I'll try it. I'm going to mute right now.
Well, you can't mute. You have to be on camera. Donna's depending on you.
Not tonight.
I'd say George is like a drug. You give him a taste, and then you make him come back give him a little free taste, and then you give him more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly how it goes.
Yeah, that's what Lynn said.
She is too. That was the plan, wasn't it?
She said that, and I was
Yeah.
No. You want to watch me? Go watch the help desk tomorrow night.
And ask some questions, darn it. Call in. Oh my, it's 8. Maybe I should start the program. That would be pretty fun of me to do. To start the program. I'm not sure why this web page is open. Somebody started using the iMac for work again. Anybody like to guess who that is? Blimey. Okay. Let's have go here. Close and play. And play.
Kennedy. Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through, but not so doggone seasoned that he won't try something new? A man who's old enough to know
and young enough to do.
Well, it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you. But it's Kennedy for me.
Kennedy.
Do you want a man with spirit who is not afraid to fight?
A man whose record shows that he will fight for what is right.
A loyal man who'll bring the job a fresh new point of view. Well, it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you. Cause it's Kennedy for me.
Kennedy.
And do you deny to any man the right he's guaranteed to be elected president, no matter what his creed?
It's promised in the Bill of Rights to which we must be true.
So it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you. And it's Kennedy for me.
Kennedy.
do you like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair? We'll measure him against the others, and when you compare, you cast your vote for Kennedy, and the change that's overdue. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Kennedy, 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 for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy,
Welcome, welcome, welcome from my humble second bedroom here in the Saucon Valley, part of the Lehigh Valley, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, part of these United States, North American continent, Western Hemisphere, on this planet Earth, the only one we have third rock from the sun in the Terran solar system, part of the Milky Way galaxy. This is TKE Tonight, the Kennedy Effect Tonight for the 5th of August, 2024. Happy to be with you. We are live right now on my personal Facebook, and that's it, because we have been blocked by Facebook yet again from sharing it anywhere else. So please come to my personal Facebook, Jeff Kennedy. You can be a part of the program. We are live on YouTube right now. That Other Side of Information is the name of the channel. We are live on my Twitch channel, which is Jeff R. Kennedy. We are live on my LinkedIn, which is Jeff Kennedy as well. So thank you all for being here. Thanks to Donna, who is already commenting furiously, but we welcome it very, very much. So hello, hello, hello. It's nice to be back with you again. Somebody took me to task a tiny bit last night about a very overextended introductory, introductory rant about everywhere that you can find us and on and on and on. And it did go on, and I do tend to ramble at times. It's just kind of who I am. I kind of ramble at times. That said, I have no need to get into a big, long explanation of all the hundreds of places you can find us tonight, because we've been blocked from them. This is why I always bug you, unfortunately, to please share our program, invite other people to listen, and so on and so on and so on, because we depend very, very much so on your good graces to help us grow this program and to, just to proliferate the station, because, every about 5 minutes or so, Facebook shuts me down. Even though in every, actually, you know what? I want to, maybe I'll make a homework assignment for you all. If somebody could find me a 1-800 number for Facebook, I will call them live on the air and ask them what they want from me. Because I have offered them money. I will pay you to stop blocking me. Just tell me what you want. Tell me what the price is. And no one will answer me, which makes it's very strange. And it's very, it's just strange. I mean, what can I say? It's just strange. I think it's very strange. But, yeah. So that's where we are. We are live on my personal Facebook, live on Twitch, live on YouTube, and LinkedIn. And, of course, the audio of our program via the Shoutcast and Voscast applications, if you will, programs. Of course, we are live here at gcpr.live, gcpr.live. It's the name of our website, and if you search for GCPR on voscast.com or shoutcast.com, you will find us. A great shout out and hello and welcome again, of course, to all of our I hate to say foreign listeners, but listeners around the globe. I guess since we're based in the United States, it does, I guess, technically make them foreign listeners, but we are all one human family, so it doesn't matter to me where anybody comes from. We're just thrilled that you're here and that you're listening. So to our listeners in well, we have a substantial, actually, number of listeners in Romania, Italy, and Spain, and everywhere else on the planet where you might be catching us. If you can connect to the internet, whether you live underground, on Earth, or above it, if you're flying in a plane, sailing on a boat, if you have an internet signal, you can listen to us. Again, check out the website GCPR, Ghost Claw Productions Radio, GCPR.live. Go to voscast.com, VOSCAST.com, or shoutcast.com. I don't think I have to spell that one for you. Shoutcast is actually an app. You can go in, download that, go into the app on your phone and find us. Just search for GCPR. We are easy to find. And also the website will tell you all the places where you can simulcast and watch the video portion of the program. And specifically for Donna, George is being very stubborn with his camera tonight. He has decided you are not worthy of his gloriousness on screen tonight. I'm kidding. I am completely kidding. He's actually working on some things for me in the background. So I think he's actually working. And I shouldn't say actually working like he doesn't work. He's always freaking working. He does more work on this program than I do, and I host it. But I think he's actually working on some things in the background. So I'm kidding, Donna, about you not being worthy of seeing George on camera. I am completely kidding. So anyway, let's get to it. TKE tonight, of course, is a little bit different than our Sunday program. It is 1 quick hour, and I will very quickly tell you, before I forget, of course, I don't think I would ever forget, but I want to say we have to leave you really right at 9 o'clock. No bleed over into the 9 o'clock hour, because at 9 o'clock, following us at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So if you are in different time zones, you can do the math. If you're around the globe, you can do the math. Just to put a time converter app on your phone, and yes, there are such things. 9 p.m. Eastern time, the East Coast of the United States, the Eastern time zone. 9 p.m. Eastern time zone is Cold Dead Hands with Ben and Brett. They follow us immediately following us at 9 p.m. Eastern time right here on GCPR, and we hope that you will tune into them as well. We are planning to be with you, of course, through the week. Monday, well, today's already Monday, but we're already here, but Monday through Thursday from 8 p.m. Not exactly sure what's happening yet with the Sunday program. It's kind of the last day of Music Fest. We're already into August, and Kristen and I have not had too much of a summer, so we might just take the Sunday and stay at Music Fest until, because that'll be the last day of it. Stay a little bit later into the evening, 7 to 8 o'clock or something like that, and kind of try to enjoy it a little bit. But I'll let you know as the week goes on what's happening Sunday. But we have every plan in the book here, barring anything unforeseen. We will be with you for the rest of the week through Thursday. We don't do Fridays, but through Thursday, right here from 8 p.m. TKE tonight, of course, a 1 hour version of the Kennedy Effect, where we kind of talk about the top stories of the day. And if you don't think that what I think is the top story, then you tell me differently. And we can always talk about that as well. You can, of course, call the program. It's sloppy, but you can call the program. And I think that about does it. So let's get to what I think are the two top stories of the day. If you read the header? Let me try that again. If you read the header on the Facebook post, but then again, most of you didn't see it because I'm not allowed to send it anywhere. I might have to depend on George to see if he can take it from my Facebook and share it to all the places that we try to share it to. He's an admin on our group, so I don't know if he can do the sharing that I'm not allowed to do, but we might have to try that now until he gets blocked, and then maybe I'll get back up, and then we can trade getting blocked. Well, we are a team, we have to both bear the burden here. But I think there's really two big stories today. One, economic. We don't always focus so much strictly on economics, and I am not an economist. I do not play one on the radio. I am not an economic expert, but I'm also not stupid, and I don't think you are either. I think if you are even semi-informed, if you are someone that tries to keep up with the news on a daily or even semi-daily basis, you have somewhat of a basic understanding of how the economy runs. And if you don't, of course, we are perfectly happy to tell you. And so today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, if you weren't aware of what the Dow is, it is a conglomeration. It is the total price of one share of stock of the largest 100 corporations in the country. If I'm not mistaken, that is what it is. It's the top 100. So if you took one share of each of the top 100 corporations in the country, or it might be bellwether corporations, because I know a few years ago they dropped some corporations out and added new ones that were thought to be more relevant, like some older industrial, dirty, gritty industrial type companies were dropped out. Some tobacco companies were dropped out, and tech companies were lumped in. It also tells you that the Dow is not a steady measure, because once you change companies, you kind of change the whole value of it. I can make the Dow go up simply by changing the companies that are listed within it, if I were so manipulative. I am not, but certainly billionaires are. But anyway, that said, that is what the Dow is, and for a very long time in this country, I would say up until maybe the mid 80s, it was considered to be, I think its cachet and its relevancy to the economy has faded. It is not dead by any means, but I do think it's faded. It was considered to be one of the real bellwether indicators of the health of the economy. If the Dow went up, things were good. If the Dow went down, it was likely a recession. We were either in it or it was coming. And in my mind, and I am not the only one, and again, I would say, I am not an economist. I am not. Do not have a degree in economics. And I don't play one on television. And I don't play one here on the radio. But a basic understanding of the economy and how it works would tell you that the Dow is not a very good indicator of the health of the general economy. It's why, even though President Biden has taken a great deal of credit for the surge in the Dow, and the Dow did dip during the pandemic because we weren't working. Pretty much as it should have, by the way. The billionaires still figured out how to make money off of the Dow. We created new billionaires in this country. We created 6 new billionaires in this country during the time that the economy was shuttered. We created new billionaires. Mr. Bezos, because we're all ordering from Amazon, those poor folks, of course, who do the Amazon deliveries, that was okay. They were deemed essential. It was fine if they got COVID and died, because we all had to order everything to our houses because we couldn't go out. Happen to think Mr. Bezos is quite happy about COVID. Probably wouldn't mind shuttering the economy a couple more times, or once a year, or maybe during Prime Day. But anyway, today the Dow dipped about 1,000 points. But still, it was only about 2.6% of its total value. The Dow is still infinitely higher now than it was when Trump left office. And again, I don't think that it is the indicator of the economy the way it used to be. I think there are other factors like interest rates, credit card debt, student debt, used car debt, mortgage debt, corporate debt, the unemployment rate, and even more accurate than that, I think, the labor participation rate. The Dow is not kind of the end-all, be-all indicator of the health of the economy that it used to be. But still, when something that monumental happens to it, when a 4-digit drop happens, it's a big deal. As President Biden would say, although he would say all the words out, it's a BFD. So let me read to you again from what has become my favorite source because it's free. And it's free to you too. And I really think you should download the AP, the Associated Press app. It's exceptionally simple to use, like really, really simple to use. You can set it and customize it for the stories that you want to see, or you can leave it in its default settings, which are very simple. It's very, very easy to use, and it's free. I have not been cut off. I haven't been warned that, hey, you're close to using all of your articles for the month. The Guardian was my favorite news source. It was independent. Well, it is independent, unbiased, an international view, outside eyes looking in on this country. I think it's invaluable. I'm still a big fan of the Guardian, but they put a paywall up and I can't afford it. So hence the AP, except that I don't really think I'm losing anything with the AP. I think they're a little more, they lean a bit more than the Guardian, and they certainly lean more than the BBC, but I happen to think that it's an excellent news source. By and large, it is unbiased. It is factual, unlike Fox News. It is factual, and I think you should check it out. And they're not paying me. They're not advertising here on the station. It's just my opinion. I think it's a very good news app. The articles, most of them are pretty short. They're simple to read. They get straight to the facts of it and move on. And you can work your way through a good number of articles in just a few minutes. So anyway, today happened to be the number one story at the top of the feed on the AP app. Article is written by Stan Cho, Choe. I hope I'm saying that correct, Mr. Cho. If you're listening, and if I'm not, feel free to call and yell at me and tell me how to say your name. Certainly don't mean any disrespect, but I believe I am saying it correctly. Always important to credit the author of the article. I didn't write it. The words are not mine. So always important to credit the author. Again, this is from the Associated Press, from today, Dateline, New York. The article is written by Stan Cho. The headline: Dow drops 1,000 points and Japanese stocks suffer worst crash since 1987 as markets quake worldwide. And I think as I read through this, you're going to see why I don't think this is the monumental emergency that a lot of people are thinking that it is. First off, Japanese markets are always more volatile than American ones. They just are. They tend to have larger swings back and forth. Japanese markets, by and large, follow the trends of American markets. When the Dow goes up, Japanese markets generally go up because the global economy is so interconnected that, it's very hard to find a purely American company anymore. It's hard to find a purely Japanese company anymore. When folks say to you, and I think the best example of this, by the way, is automobiles, is cars. Buy American. In the auto industry especially, what does that mean? Does it mean buy a Toyota that was built in Tennessee? Does it mean buy a Jeep that was built in Canada? Because at least Jeep is based in the United States. Or does it mean buy a GM that's built in Australia? So what does that mean? I don't know what that means anymore. I think the auto industry, of course, is the biggest example of that, but you may disagree, and that's fine too. But anyway, that's the thing. Oh, George, Donna found a phone number. That's hilarious. I might have to try that. I might have to try it live on the air. Maybe we'll do that Thursday. because I'm blocked for 6 days now. I don't think I can fix it, but maybe we'll try that Thursday as an end of the broadcast week. Maybe we'll go right from 8 o'clock. We'll call customer service and we'll do it live on the air because I can dial out with, Google Voice doesn't work with this. Bollocks. Darn it. It would have been funny, though. I might have to think about doing it. Anyway, let's read the article. A scary Monday that started with a plunge abroad reminiscent of 1987's crash swept around the world and pummeled Wall Street with more steep losses as fears worsened about a slowing U.S. economy. Let us put that into perspective. A slowing U.S. economy. The jobs numbers that came out for July were openly and honestly below expectations. It was expected that the economy would have added roughly 135,000 new jobs. It added 114,000. So straight out of the gate, you're talking about a difference of roughly 24,000. And that's a lot, right? If you're one of the people that didn't get one of those jobs, it means something to you, right? In a country of 335 million, or 330 million, where the workforce is roughly 65% of that, because of course there are seniors that don't work and there are children that don't work, although depending on the state, children do work. So roughly 65% of the country is of working age. And the labor participation rate, by the way, is approaching again finally 65%. But there are seniors that don't work, there are sick who don't work, there are those who are disabled who do not work, children do not work. That's why you never have 100% of a population that works. So, okay, that number was a little under what was expected after 32 straight months of overperforming job numbers. And I think this is why the Dow really is not the economic indicator that the media continues to make it. And by the way, it's in the corporation's interest to make the Dow relevant, because that's, if you're a big corporation and you're part of the Dow, you want the Dow to be relevant because that's where your stocks are traded. It's good for your stock trading. It's good for your price. It's all very incestuous. And I don't use that word lightly, and I don't use it flippantly. It's very incestuous. So after 32, 33 months of job growth, 32, I'm forgetting now what it was, 32 straight months or 33 straight months. And by the way, this last job number was still job growth. The economy did not lose jobs. It did not shed jobs. It simply didn't create the number that was expected. And how, to be honest, how the unemployment rate changed by 0.4% is a bit of a mystery to me. Because it continued, because jobless claims were down, and the economy did still create 115,000 jobs. So how the unemployment rate grew is a little bit of a mystery to me. And that's why I'm not an economist. But after 32, 33 straight months of overperforming job growth numbers, 1 month, which was still in growth, but simply not to the level that was expected, and suddenly the Dow shits the bed. So many of the financial regulatory agencies have been defunded and stripped of workers. They have been stripped of power and authority. That's what the Chevron decision was about. That there is no real justification for this huge drop-off because job numbers weren't so great for 1 month. What it really shows you in this casual observer's mind is it's market manipulation. And don't ever forget, and don't lose any sleep for these day traders and these stock traders either. They're not losing any money. They're not. They always know how to gain off of whatever particular economic situation is happening that day. They always know how to make money. Let's not lose any sleep for these folks. And by the way, a number of them are playing around with your money. Because, of course, we don't have regular pensions in this country anymore. Well, 401ks. What is it? It's a stock investment fund. I have several of them from different jobs. There isn't really shit worth of money in them, but that's what they are. When the Reagan administration allowed 401ks to even be created, it was just a way to take your pre-tax dollars and hand them to a private investment firm so they could play monopoly with it. It's what they did for the great crash, for the Great Recession of 2007, 2008. And by the way, I love how folks continue to say, even the quote unquote mainstream media, that it was the Great Recession of 2008. No, it started in 2007. But let me get back to the article. The S&P 500 dropped 3% for its worst day in nearly 2 years. Let's put that into some perspective, please. You have $100 of stock in the S&P. Today you lost $3. You have $1. You lost 3 cents. It didn't drop by 13%, 30%, 3%. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying that you should ignore it. I'm not saying that it might not be the beginning of a trend. What I'm saying is the reaction to it, I happen to think, is dramatically overblown. And I do not believe that these stock indices are any longer a valid measure of the health of the American economy. I just don't. Others will disagree, and God bless you for doing it. Debate and disagreement and the discussions that surround it are how we progress as a nation. It's how we learn from each other. It's also how we come to compromise. So if you disagree, you tell me. I'm happy to hear it. You tell me. Before I get back to the article, let me reference. Randall says, I think the news story of the day was that the U.S. federal judges ruling that Google is a monopoly under the Sherman Antitrust Act. The last corporation declared a monopoly was Microsoft, and nothing happened to Microsoft. The last company that anything that happens, or anything that happened to under the Antitrust Act, I believe, was AT&T, if I'm not mistaken. There have been other companies that have been declared monopolies, but they haven't been broken up. Microsoft has not been broken up. Google's not going to be broken up. It just isn't. Not in this country. The Europeans may do it because they actually have regulatory agencies with teeth. We took all that away in the Reagan era. I would say, though, and one of the reasons I highlighted this comment, is I do think that the judgment itself, because Google is such a massive and all-encompassing company, that was a little sloppy to say, that the ruling may have sent a bit of a trigger through the markets. I don't think it was just the job number. I think this court decision that Randall's highlighting for us may have been a trigger to some of this stock sell-off as well. And now, do I know that? No. Again, I'm not a trader. At different points in my life, boy, when the markets were roaring, I thought to myself, this can't be that difficult. Times that I was out of work, times during the pandemic when I had nothing better to do with myself, I thought a couple different times, what if I just take $100? I download, I don't know. Suddenly I'm blanking all the good trading apps, Schwab or, whatever, fill in the blank. And E-Trade is the one I was trying to think of. And just see, I'm a relatively smart guy. I'm certainly not brilliant, but I'm a relatively smart guy. And I'm certainly not any smarter or better than any of you. But certainly during the pandemic and at different times in my life where I have been, especially in an internet era, when I have been unemployed, I thought to myself, or underemployed as I am now, that why not have a go? It can't be that hard. And I never did. I never dipped a toe in that pool because I think it's just the Wild West. I think it's entirely too dangerous. I think there's no oversight of it. I don't think there's nearly the oversight that there should be. Most, if not all, of the oversight that was built into the system after the Republican Great Depression to protect us from another Great Depression have been whittled away because banks and investment houses want to make money. And because they invest in the lawmakers that decide to repeal these regulations. And too many damn Democrats have helped them out. Going back to the article, the drops were the latest in a global sell-off that began last week. Japan's Nikkei, that would be their equivalent of their New York Stock Exchange, Dow, 225, Nikkei 225 helped begin Monday by plunging 12.4% for its worst day since the Black Monday crash of 1987. Again, I told you, Japanese markets are way more volatile than American markets. When the Japanese market swings, it swings hard. It swings and misses. It swings and does damage. But they take a swing. The American markets are currents in a river. Japanese markets are tidal waves. And notice the language in here. Sell-off. Sell-off. So some big stockholders decided to sell off and make a bunch of money. And what they did along the way is to tank the markets. Don't worry. The big investors always make money. They always do. Returning to the article. It was the first chance for traders in Tokyo to react to Friday's report showing U.S. employers slowed their hiring. Notice they didn't stop their hiring. They didn't shed jobs. There were no massive layoffs. They slowed their hiring. And by the way, folks, if you're ever bored and just playing around on the internet, go look at economic conditions leading up to every presidential election. The economy always slows leading up to a presidential election. Corporations who might have big plans for an expansion or a new plant or a McDonald's or fast food chain type corporation that might have plans to open 100 new restaurants nationwide will stop those plans prior to a presidential election. Say, maybe we should hang on and see how this works out first. The economy always stagnates leading up to a presidential election. It always does. Doesn't mean it has a recession. Doesn't mean that it roars into an election either. It tends to just slow down, tends to be like letting your car coast to a stop. Gravity eventually and friction of the tires on the road surface eventually slow the car down. The economy is still moving forward. It simply isn't moving at the same speed. And by the way, that speed tends to always slow down going into a presidential election. Just its history. Just look it up. Sorry, where was I? Weaker than okay. And it all raised fear that the Federal Reserve has pressed the brakes on the U.S. economy by too much for too long through high interest rates in the hopes of stifling inflation. I've told you on this program for weeks. There has been so much speculation about when and by how much the Fed would lower interest rates. And now the markets are expecting an interest rate cut to come in September. This Federal Reserve, led by a Trump appointee that President Biden kept in place, does not want to involve himself in this economy leading into a presidential election. If Chairman Powell makes a rate cut, if the Fed decides as a whole to make a rate cut, it's going to have to be pretty desperate times. I personally do not believe there will be a rate cut before this election, because the Fed does not want to be accused of weighing in or trying to tip the scales in this election. I believe there needs to be a rate cut. Credit card interest rates need to go down. Mortgage interest rates need to go down. Car loan interest rates need to go down to keep the economy moving. But this Fed has waited too long. They could have cut rates back in the spring and at least avoided that criticism of trying to weigh in or tip the scales. Now we need a rate cut, and now we're looking at 3 months before. 3 months? Yeah, 3 months before a presidential election. In fact, today is the 5th. September, October, November. We're 3 months away from the end of the presidential election cycle. Early voting will begin in some states as early as 8 weeks from now, 6 weeks from now. Back to the article. Professional investors cautioned that some technical factors could be amplifying the action in markets and that the drops may be overdone, but the losses were still neck snapping. I just don't see it that way. South Korea's Kospi index, again, I'm probably be equivalent to their Dow. I'm not an expert, not an economist. Dropped by 8.8%. Bitcoin dropped below $54,000. Who gives a flying shit about that? The fact that Bitcoin is mentioned in this article is criminal. We have discussed on this program ad infinitum, Bitcoin is not real. It is not a tangible, actual form of currency. It is a myth. It is a thought. It is a specter. It's a ghost. It's an apparition. It's the idea of a currency. And it is completely unregulated. If I wanted to right now, I could start a currency. I could start Kennedy Effect coins. You'd never see them. You'd never know what they look like. You'd never hold one in your hand. But I could create one and artificially determine its value and then begin to trade them or bury them for you to mine and find, like people do with Bitcoin. It's a myth. You'd have better luck finding a physical Pokemon character out in the woods. Even gold dipped today. The way the article is written, it's a one-sentence paragraph. But even gold, which had a reputation for offering safety during tumultuous times, slipped about 1%. I'm not saying that there's not a recession coming, perhaps in the beginning of 2025. Recessions all have to start somewhere. Unlimited overproducing, I shouldn't say overproducing. Yeah, maybe overproducing is the right word. Overperforming. Thank you, brain, for clicking in. Continuous, perpetual, overperforming job numbers are simply unsustainable. No economic expansion lasts forever, except, oh yeah, by the way, coming out of the full implementation of the New Deal and all of its regulatory gifts. where the economy expanded every single year from, I think, starting in 1936 straight through till I think 1974. Anyway, that I believe to be is one of the big stories of the day. Mike mentions, he of course mentioned it 10 minutes ago, he thinks the big story of the day is who Harris picks for VP. I don't think it's a big story until she does it. Here's what I can tell you, though, and it's not going to be terribly popular with my fellow Democrats here in Pennsylvania. I don't think Josh Shapiro is a good choice. He has cozied up. He is a corporate Democrat, and he has cozied up way too much to Republicans in this Commonwealth simply so he can get good headlines. And he is way too eager to give away public money to religious and private schools. He's way too happy to give away your money to private and religious schools. I think for me personally, the obvious choice is Senator Kelly from Arizona, but I also happen to believe that governors, plural, Beshear and Waltz of Minnesota are better choices. I don't think Josh Shapiro is a bad man, not at all. He loves his country, he loves Pennsylvania, and he loves his family. He is a Democrat. I supported him in his gubernatorial election. I'll support him for re-election. I simply disagree with him. And the areas that we disagree, I think many, many Democrats would disagree with, and I just don't think he's the strongest choice. I think Senator Kelly is the better choice, and by a pretty good distance. I don't think Mr. Shapiro is a bad man, not at all. We can have these professional political issue-based disagreements and not throw mud at each other. He's not a bad man, not by any stretch of the imagination. But I think there are better choices. Is he the worst choice that Harris could make? Absolutely not. But are there better ones? I believe that there are. The other story that I wanted to get to as we quickly come up. Crap. Where did it go? Darn it. There it is. Thank you. I'm scrolling through the AP. I'm like, crap, I flagged this. I thought I had it. So we have about 13 minutes left in the program. It is 8:45. You're listening to, by the way, TKE Tonight, the Kennedy Effect Tonight for the 5th of August, 2024, live on my Facebook, on my YouTube, called That Other Side of Information, or live on my Twitch channel, Jeff R. Kennedy, live on LinkedIn at Jeff Kennedy as well. And, of course, the audio of our program carried live through the Voscast website and the Shoutcast app. Look for gcpr.live. That's the name of our station. We're just into our 5th week, I think, if I'm not mistaken. We're in our 5th week, so we are young, but we are growing, and we want you to grow right along with us. gcpr.live. Go to the website and check it out. Ghost Claw Productions Radio, gcpr.live. Following when George and I say goodnight to you for Monday, Cold Dead Hands with Ben and Brett, a program of the utmost urgency and relevancy and importance, talking about gun violence and the power of the gun lobby and all things surrounding the Second Amendment in this country. Our fascination, not just love of guns, but our fascination, fetishization of them. That follows us at 9 p.m. in about 14 minutes. So stay tuned. No break tonight. You don't get to walk the dog and make popcorn and all that. Ben and Brett come up immediately following us from 9 p.m. George and I will be with you for the rest of the week from 8 p.m. for TKE Tonight. Not 100% sure about the Sunday program yet. My second big story of the night for me, and I respect Mike's feeling that that's the big story. I love it. I respect it deeply. I don't know that it's a huge story until she actually makes the pick. I mean, you can only speculate about it so much before it's like the off week before the Super Bowl. Jesus, can we just shut up about the game and play it? We've been speculating since President Biden dropped that. I wonder, how did I get a voicemail from Randall without the phone ringing? That's interesting. I don't know. Regardless, I think I'm out of time anyway. But since President Biden decided to step back, the almost immediate question started to be who Vice President Harris would pick to be her vice president. And it's been so overanalyzed that I don't know that it's even worth getting into much beyond until she makes the decision. Then we can talk about it again. But I would say I do think Governor Shapiro is, apparently there's only 2 candidates left in reporting that I saw today, and that's Governor Walz and Governor Shapiro. And Vice President Harris is going to be in Philadelphia tomorrow. And she says she's making an announcement tomorrow. So all the stars seem to be lining up. And again, Governor Shapiro is not a bad man. I simply disagree with him on some very important policies. We just disagree. That's all. Just like adults. We just happen to disagree. She could make much worse choices, but I think there's better ones. That's all. Very simple. Dateline, Phoenix, Arizona. Article is written by Jacques Billot. It's a French name. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. Billeaud. Billot, I think is how you say it in the French. I hope I'm saying it correctly. Jacques, if you're listening and I'm butchering your name, my apologies. Again, also from the Associated Press, headline, ex-Trump attorney Jenna Ellis to cooperate in Arizona fake electors case. The charges against her are to be dropped. Former President Donald Trump's campaign attorney Jenna Ellis, who worked closely with his personal attorney Rudy Giuliani, will cooperate with Arizona prosecutors in exchange for charges being dropped against her in a fake electors case, the state attorney general's office announced on Monday. Ellis has previously pleaded not guilty to fraud, forgery, and conspiracy charges in the Arizona case. 17 other people charged in the case have pleaded not guilty to felony charges, including Giuliani, Trump presidential chief of staff Mark Meadows, and 11 Republicans who submitted a document to Congress falsely declaring Trump had won Arizona. We've talked on the program before about kind of wondering openly about when all the people that surround Trump would begin to kind of look at each other and say, wow, we're all going to jail here one by one, and he gets off scot-free. Self-preservation is a dramatic emotion. It is a very powerful, motivational emotion. And I've been waiting for it to, okay, so we've seen Peter Navarro went to prison. Then again, he deserved it, but I mean, still, he went to prison. The campaign manager from 16, who was paid off by the old Ukrainian government, I'm blanking out on his name. He's been in prison. Bannon's been in prison. Giuliani's going to go to prison. Alan Weisselberg's in prison. I'm forgetting. Steve Cohen went to prison. All these people that surround Trump seem to go to prison, and he never does. Well, perhaps Jenna Ellis finally woke up this morning and said, wait a second, I'm not going to jail for this guy. And remember, Jenna Ellis was in court during some of the preliminary hearings for these charges, asking the judge to waive bail and allow her out on her own recognizance because she was broke. And then went out and held a press conference and openly begged Trump to pay her legal bills the way he promised he would. And he hasn't, and he's never going to. I turned it off, Randall. Give it a try. You got 3 minutes. So maybe she finally woke the hell up. Or looked at herself in the mirror this morning and said, wait, I'm not going to jail for this man. Somebody finally had to stop it. And I'm very glad that she woke up. I'm very, very glad that she woke up. The rest of them need to wake up. Well, some of the ones who have not been implicated yet, the 44 different former White House officials who served in the Trump regime, who have signed open letters to say that the man should never be returned. Well, they've said he should be committed to a mental institution, not ever return to the White House. Maybe they don't want to go to jail either. But it was good to see Miss Ellis wake up. Randall, go for it.
Yeah, first of all, yes, I'm an active Democrat. I absolutely voted. I pushed door to door for Governor Chappelle, and I will vote for him again when his 4 years up for re-election. However, yes, you're right. I am very upset that he gave more money, state money, by signing next year's appropriation bill
budget
to go to vouchers.
Yep.
And my wife, who is one of the leaders in Pennsylvania of early childhood education, her whole industry, directors, board of trustees of profit and nonprofit early childhood education centers, they are pissed off at Chappelle because he cut the budget, cut money to early childhood education. So yes, he has become a corporate Democrat.
And again, these are policy differences, right? Governor Shapiro is not a bad human being. He doesn't hate He doesn't hate this country. He doesn't hate his family. He doesn't hate me. He doesn't hate Randall. These are policy differences, because I think we need to, in this environment, unfortunately, that has become so divisive and toxic, we have to actually give that disclaimer, which is sad, because it used to be it was a presupposition that, of course, you didn't hate the other person, you just disagreed with them. I don't hate Governor Shapiro, and he doesn't hate me. No, first off, he probably wouldn't know me if he tripped over me, but he doesn't hate me. He doesn't hate Pennsylvania. He doesn't hate little kids. He doesn't hate education. This is a policy difference. And I don't only think he's wrong, the data supports the fact that he's wrong. Charter schools, private schools, religious schools are routinely outperformed by public schools. So why we're handing them another $500 million is absolutely beyond me. You might as well have just wrote a check and put it in their pockets, because that's all they're going to do with it anyway. So it's wrong. It's bad policy. It's not just bad for kids. It's not even just bad economically. It's just flat out nonsensical policy. And I think that disqualifies him. I just do. He's not a bad man. I just think there are better choices. And again, he is not the worst choice that she could make. I think there are worse. I simply don't think he's a good one. That's all. I think there's better ones. But go ahead, maybe another minute or so.
And yeah, I absolutely agree with everything you just said, Jeff. The other reason Vice President Harris should have not picked our Governor Shapiro.
Shapiro,
I'm sorry. I get mine twisted too. Yes, Governor Shapiro. He is perceived, especially in Middle Eastern citizens in this country and by Muslims in this country, that he is so pro Israel, which he is, but he has also been one of the greatest critics of the Prime Minister of Israel for minister of Israel has done to the Palestinians in Gaza. So it's like it's a catch-22
It is
on perception.
I think that's I think that's very fair. I got to say goodbye. It's already 8:57, but thank you for being patient. I appreciate it.
All right. I'll talk to you tomorrow night.
You got it. I think Randall makes a really excellent point. Governor Shapiro is a man of the Jewish faith. He would be first person in the Jewish faith to hold either the vice presidency or if ever someday he was elected president, he would be the first one. We haven't had a Jewish president, but Randall's right. He is actually kind of seen as a bit of an enemy on both sides because he has been very critical of the Israeli government and and the way they have conducted this war. He's also been very critical of the Palestinians. So that does kind of go both ways. Donna makes a quote. My God, Jeff, your words. Makes a comment that I have posted up here that Jen Psaki has said tonight on her program, which I think is a really good program, by the way, that Vice President Harris is going to announce the VP pick in Wisconsin on Wednesday, which would lead you to believe that it is Governor Walz of Minnesota because they are next door to each other. But who knows? Again, we won't know till she says it, right? We're just not going to know until she says it. 8:58, we got to wrap up. George, anything you want to throw into the mix before we say goodnight? Do you want to turn the camera on for 10 seconds for Donna? I love it.
No, I can't do that. I'm still working on your auto DJ stuff, so that's what I'm working on.
Okay. Well, anyway, look, it's 8:58. We need to say goodnight to you. So please, I would ask you, go into your favorite search engine, DuckDuckGo or Google, and type in me, Jeff Kennedy, or George, or GCPR, and you will find us. You know exactly where to find us. It'll give you the YouTube, all the social media, all of it, and where to listen to the audio. We will return tomorrow night. Go to those social medias, give us a like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. Facebook shut us off again, so now we need to ask you to help us out. We will be back tomorrow night with TKE Tonight for Tuesday. Right now, Cold Dead Hands is on GCPR.live, GCPR.live. Cold Dead Hands with Ben and Brett. For everybody at GCPR, for George, me, Kristen, and Daisy the dog downstairs, we'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great night. Cold Dead Hands starts right now.